Inspiration. Where does it come from? As a chef or a home cook, I bet like me you've stared at an empty white plate not knowing where to start with your plating. Well, don't worry, all creatives, be it writers, musicians, photographers or painters, suffer blocks from time to time, but there are ways to smash through them. You just need to do something about it. So if you never want to serve a dull, lifeless or boring plate of food again, but to create that sense of anticipation and visual wonder in your guests, then keep watching as we explore where and how to be inspired. We are all influenced by our past experiences, culture, exposure to different ideas, and building what other people have done before us. As Sir Isaac Newton said, if I have seen further, it is because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I've always found this concept fascinating. So in this video that I've taken from a recent Food Envy podcast episode with top chef Alex Naik, I'm going to find out where his inspiration comes from, how he describes his plating, and which chefs have influenced the most to help develop his own visual style through innovation, creativity, and inventiveness. If you're interested in seeing how Alex actually plates his own beautiful dishes, then I'll link to this and other real-time demos from top chefs at the end of this video. Enjoy. So let's move on to a little bit about visual style, which is what the podcast is really all about. So, I mean, you said you're not formally trained, so where have you picked up visual style from?
I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of cooking on TV.
Yeah.
You know, in my late teens, I'd find myself just on the Food Network.
Yeah.
Hours just watching away. But books are the main thing.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to eat out in a few nice restaurants when I was younger with my parents.
Yep.
And that exposed me to some very interesting plating techniques and styles and plates themselves, you know.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise hugely before becoming a food photographer how important a plate is, and a decent plate. You know, just white doesn't always work for everything, does it? You know, you want to see a little bit of texture or something like that. So even that, has that been rather nice that you running your own place, you get full autonomy to that and get involved in that?
Probably one of the most, the funnest parts of this whole project was spending lots of money on plates.
I can imagine.
And again, eating out in other restaurants, maybe not taking the exact plates from other people, but getting an idea of what style of plate would work.
What have you gone for here? I assume we're going to see one of them later, but what have you gone for?
Veered away from white. I think we've only actually got one white plate in the whole kitchen.
Okay.
The rest are colourful, and they're tones and colours that reflect the forage nature of the foods. There's nothing too garish. It's quite natural.
Going back to your style, so books, films, stuff like that. Do you think you have a style? Can you describe that?
I think the way I describe the style is very organic.
Okay.
Nothing too forced, you know. Things should seem as if they've fallen on the plate.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the biggest problems with chefs when they're trying to plate up and they're trying to force it too hard. And it just becomes unnatural and overcomplicated most of the time.
Okay.
I like to keep things fairly simple.
Yep.
And let those ingredients sing for themselves.
And so does a plate evolve for you then? Because I'm wanting to find a chef that sketches things out beforehand, because I think if I was a chef, I would sketch stuff out a little bit. Are you an organic, or do you kind of plan it?
We plan it to a certain extent. If you look through one of my notebooks, you probably will find some doodles.
Oh, good.
They
okay.
often happen very late at night when you're trying to think of a dish and you're maybe having a beer upstairs.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, a few doodles do help to get that base idea. And then when we throw those ingredients on the plate, we'll carefully place them there. Then we'll develop that a little bit further. Maybe it's not exactly as a doodle, but we'll try and...
It's a starting point, though.
It's a starting point.
Yeah. Who kind of really inspires you in, not the cooking world, because I'm sure you have that, but specifically visually, which chefs do you think are doing a really good job with visual plating and things like that?
I mean, I always look towards the Roca brothers for inspiration over in Girona in Spain. I think the thought process and the story behind the plates really stands out.
Yep.
I mean, I was lucky enough to eat there a few years ago, and it just blew my mind.
Okay.
It just made me think from a different perspective a little bit on those plating techniques and what should really go on the plate, and where can we stop putting things on the plate.
That's the technique, isn't it? Sometimes, like, that's enough.
Restraint is key sometimes. It's too easy to throw all of your mise en place onto the plate.
Yeah.
There's a Netflix film, and there's a little quote from it I like, which is, it looks like a mise en place hand grenade has gone off in your plate. I really enjoy that quote. And
what was that from?
That is in 42 grams. Gold.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting little documentary, that.
So the Rocas brothers.
Brothers, yeah.
And can you think of specific, do they have a very, very obvious sort of visual signature? Can you look at their plate of food and guess, that's probably them? Is it
specifically Jordi Roca, the pastry chef?
Yep.
He's got a very specific style. One of his dishes is a cigar. It looks like a real cigar.
Okay.
And it's actually smoked ice cream, smoked with cigar smoke.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. It's very out there, but
Wow.
he just keeps it very simple. It's, one or two main elements on the plate, and they just stand out. Sometimes I like to completely hide something and then have that element of surprise for the diner.
Okay. Yep.
So there's a couple of different ways that we look at that. So it's either completely show off that main ingredient or transform it into something it appears not to be, and let the diner discover that during the eating of the plate.
Isn't that fascinating? Because I loved that surprise. You also mentioned another chef as well.
Massimo Bottura.
That was the gentleman.
Over in Italy. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that came from that was, oops, I dropped the lemon tart.
Yeah.
His sous chef was bringing the dish over to the pass, and he dropped it, and he was in bits. He was almost crying because he'd messed up the service.
Yeah.
And Massimo turned to him and said, "Do you know what? It's okay. I like it like this." And he was in shock because the chef was in disbelief.
Yeah.
Because, okay. And a whole food style was born from that moment in time.
Yeah.
It's okay to have things fall naturally on the plate. And I think that's where we take in this idea from.
Yeah. Because I mean, I looked into Massimo when you mentioned to me, and I think I had seen him before. I just hadn't equated the two, and he clearly has a very, very distinct style that you can definitely tell. So I just took a few photos off the internet. I'm just interested to know what you kind of see from his plates. I mean, that straight away. I mean, I imagine that's going to divide an awful lot of people, especially if you're not in the industry as such. But I mean, straight away you could tell that's him.
Yeah,
right,
100%.
Straight away.
It looks like Jackson Pollock on a plate.
That's a very good analogy, actually. Yeah. I mean, that's one of his as well. I just thought that's incredibly striking because you're using very different colours. So it's such a striking plate.
If you go back.
Yeah, please.
This one here, the 5 ages of Parmesan.
Oh, right. Is that?
We're back into monochromatic plating again.
Yep.
So there's all creams and whites and stuff.
Yep.
So that's where I'm taking these ideas from.
Okay.
These people I really aspire to. Using a single colour.
Yep.
Throughout a dish.
Okay.
I quite enjoy that.
Yep.
And it's that element of surprise, and you think, oh, everything's green on this plate. What is everything?
I did see a dish a while ago. I went to go and do a video with a chef down in Brighton where he did black plate with like a black squid ink risotto, and then I can't remember I think it was a squid or something on top, so it was literally all black, which was pretty stunning, to be honest. And again, it's just a bit of a shock to see that, to see black food, black plate. Okay.
We do have a plate which is fairly monochromatic.
All right, go on then.
I managed to forget about this one. So it's a steamed piece of plate. So it is a white fish, but we do a charcoal infused beurre blanc because we call it a beurre noir, and it's served on a black plate.
Okay.
The sauce is black. It covers the white fish. And there's some aranca, which is smoked herring roe, and some crispy plaice skin. So from the offset, it does look all black. But then when you cut into the fish, you have the white center of the fish.
It just really pops.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, because I think you've got to be really confident in putting out black.
Yeah.
Totally, really. I mean, because black is the absence of color. It's doing the opposite, isn't it? Almost, So that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely stunning stuff. For me personally, on a visual style, I'm not that keen on the splattering stuff. I much prefer something like this, which is much more precise, much tighter. Yeah. But again, there are no rights and wrongs with photography, plating, or any of this kind of stuff. It's just I think I am much more drawn to something like this because it just, again, I feel I can. I'm not saying I can, but that's more attainable to me. Whereas that, not a hope in hell. Sure. Not a hope in hell. And I think that's wonderful. Things like this. Just a wonderful. That must be so much fun, though. Yeah,
it is. I have done an event in the previous place of work where we covered the whole dining table in perspex and plated up a whole dessert in this style. Oh, really? And that was really fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was very freeing and very, open to interpretation.
So come on, be honest. What do you think of Massimo Bottura's messy plating style? Are you a fan, or like me, more inspired by his precise dishes? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Either way, I hope you found my conversation with Alex helpful. I know I really enjoyed hearing all about his visual insights and inspirations, and I'll certainly be checking out more of Massimo and the Roca brothers online next time I'm staring blankly at an empty plate. Even if my cooking and plating abilities are not up to the job, it's just good to be inspired by others that are better than you. Thanks so much for watching. And if you still need more inspiration in food aesthetics and plate design, then here are the videos I promised earlier of Alex and other top chefs doing what they do best, making food look amazing. I've got more chefs lined up for my Food Envy podcast series, But by subscribing, you'll be really helping the channel to grow, and therefore enable me to invite more guests on. So come on, grab that fork and get involved.